Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, with respect, we may go on to page 37. Page 37 and take item 92. With respect.
Honorable members, page 37 of the order paper, item 92, motion, Minister for Finance. Yes, please. Honorable Ranking Member.
Mr. Speaker, before the House was suspended, the chairman of the Finance Committee attempted to lay the committee's report. I stopped it with the hope that we'll have a meeting on the appropriation. The committee's report is not before us, and we cannot ask the minister to go ahead like that. So you should lay the committee report before we can start work.
Yes, I'm told that the committee report is not before members. Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, if you may indulge me, I think we can now lay the report. The Honorable Rankin is right, as he intimated. So, Speaker, if you may come with me to item 6V, and Speaker, V is on page 4, the upper parts of page 4. Today's order paper.
Yes, have copies been distributed to members? Okay, honorable members, item 6B, Roman 5, at page 4 of the order paper. Chairman of the committee.
Report of the Finance Committee on the Appropriation Bill 2022.
Honorable members, the report of the committee is presented accordingly as for distribution to all members of Parliament. Yes, please.
Speaker, we are ready for item 92 on page 37.
Honorable members, we now move to item 92, page 37 of the order paper. Motion, Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that item listed as 92 on page 37 be so moved. I beg to move.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved and second for the consideration of the House. Procedural motion, I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Yes, we move on to item 93 at page 38 of the order paper. Motion, Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the Appropriation Bill 2022 be now read a second time.
Any seconder?
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion and in the process present your committee's report, which I request the Hansa Department to capture in full whilst I go to the conclusion. But before I do, Mr. Speaker, I would like to make an amendment on page 5 under paragraph 6.0, recommendations and conclusion, line 4. I'll first correct the figure, then I would correct the words. The figure 227 billion 801,610,041 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, is being amended to be as follows: 227 billion 721,182,958 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, this must also reflect in the words. This has become necessary because after we had distributed a report, we went together as the House directed, we went to look at the figures again and noted that it was necessary to make this to reflect some of the changes that have happened during the consideration of the various estimates. So, Mr. Speaker, with this amendment, the committee recommends to the House to pass this appropriation bill into law in accordance with the Constitution to serve the purpose for which we are doing this. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker.
Members, I'm sure you got the amendment, and so we can proceed. Yes, ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to speak to the motion that the Appropriations Bill 2022 be now read the second time. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I wish to state that the appropriations amount has been revised downwards for 3 reasons. 1, an allocation that was supposed to go to the Special Development Initiative Secretariat had to be cut. And subsequently, the resolutions in the House reflected that. Second, Mr. Speaker, the Monitoring and Evaluation Unit at the Office of Government Machinery's budget was accordingly cut. Mr. Speaker, that is part of the reason why the appropriations amount is coming down. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the budget of 80 million Ghana cedis that was supposed to go to the Ministry of Tourism for the purposes of the National Cathedral also had to be cut. Mr. Speaker, and because it was cut, you will need to reallocate it or take it from appropriations. Mr. Speaker, it was important for us to take it from appropriations for a reason that you require a resolution of Parliament before you allocate this money. However, the ministry had indicated that it is their intention to allocate it to Ministry of Communication and Roads. But the allocation for roads and communication has already been taken. And so it will mean that we'll have to first rescind that decision before we reallocate it. So we are of the view that for the purposes of signaling to everyone that we are cutting that expenditure, and also to ensure, in line with the fact that we have not allocated that expenditure, it is important that we cut that or to meet that. So, Mr. Speaker, you will notice the appropriations in the budget is down by 84 million sort of, to reflect this amendment. Mr. Speaker, apart from that, we also, if you go into the bill, you will notice that the contingency vote in the original budget reflecting 1.4 billion Ghana cedis has been reduced to 533 million. Mr. Speaker, this is particularly so for a reason that the contingency vote, part of it was allocated to the audit service, some was allocated to the judiciary and also to Parliament. And then we, after those allocations, we still felt that the amount allocated for contingency was too high. So the committee unanimously agreed that that amount should be reduced further. The ministry had indicated to us that a special allocation has been made for the purposes of wage negotiation. So we opted that they move that part of wage negotiation amount to the general government service allocation under the line what we call the compensation, wages and salaries, so that it can be preserved for that purpose and not to be given the minister responsible for finance and the Ministry of Finance to pick and choose what they intend to use the money for. Because already a lot has been allocated for Ministry of Finance for their function. Speaker, these are two notable things that I believe that the House must be aware of as we go into the details. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, since there is no further debate, I put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted.
An act to provide for the withdrawal of sums of money necessary to meet government expenditure for the 2023 financial year from the Consolidated Fund and other public funds and for related matters.
Honourable members, I believe we now have to move to the next item, which is item 94, motion, Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that the motion listed as item 4 on today's order paper, page 38, be taken. I so move.
Honourable members, it's a procedural motion. Seconded.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Move on to item 95, and that is the appropriation bill now at the consideration stage. Honourable members, Chairman, you wanted to say something?
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to respectfully draw your attention to some amendments that we would like to make to the bill as was presented. I wanted to draw your attention, please.
Well, since I don't have those proposed amendments, leadership of the minority, is a proposal on the floor. Agreed.
Mr. Speaker, we have considerable amount of committee's amendments that we have to, but it will be fast because they are consequential, so it will be fast.
Okay, so I'll give you the opportunity to table them. Clause 1.
Sum of money to be issued from the consolidated fund for 2023.
Yes, Chairman, any proposed amendment?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, clause 1. Following the amendment to the overall appropriation that you gracefully allowed me to make, consequentially, we would like to reflect that in the bill. And so, instead of 227 billion, 801 million, 182,958, which is seen in clause 1. The figure and the words now are consequentially 227 billion, 721 million, 182,958 cedis. I so move.
Yes, motion moved.
Mr. Speaker, I second the amendment that was moved by the chairman. Mr. Speaker, this reflects the amendment that we made earlier to accommodate the cut we've made for this National Cathedral Special Development Initiative and that of the Monitoring Evaluation Unit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, amendment moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. There being no consideration, I put the question. Those in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. I put the question on clause 1. And the question is that clause 1, as amended, stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 1, as amended, is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 2.
Retained internally generated funds.
Mr. Speaker, we have no amendments to clause 2.
You have amendment to clause 3? So I can...
Yes, please. Mr. Speaker, it is consequential. It is consequential.
Let me put the question on clause 2. Honorable members, question is that clause 2 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 2 is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 3.
Payment of money on authorization of minister responsible for finance.
Mr. Speaker, it's consequential upon the amendment to clause 1. I respectfully request that, Mr. Speaker, you direct the drafters to take that into account.
Honorable members, this is a consequential amendment. So, with your kind permission, I put the question. Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. I put the question on the whole of clause 3, and the question is that clause 3, as amended, stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clause 3, as amended, is ordered to stand part of the bill. Clause 4.
Repeal.
Mr. Speaker, for both clauses 4 and 5, we have no amendments.
Clause 5.
Commencement.
Honorable members, I put the question on both clause 4 and 5. And the question is that clauses 4 and 5 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clauses 4 and 5 are to stand part of the bill. We move on to the long title.
Speaker.
Is there a schedule?
Yes.
Yes, first schedule. The first schedule.
Sum of money to be issued from the Consolidated Fund for the 2023 financial year.
Definitely, we have the consequential amendment there.
Yes, please, Mr. Speaker. Consequential amendments for total appropriation. Mr. Speaker, it's consequential. So
I put the question on the first schedule. Honourable members, the question is that the first schedule as amended stands part of the bill. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the first schedule, the consequential amendment of the figure, that is the total appropriation. Once that figure is amended by the deduction of the 80 million, it might have another deduction in an item in the schedule. And once this is a capital expenditure, we have to go to the second sheet of the first schedule and go to capital expenditure. The amount there, which is 26.6 million, must also be amended to take account of the 80 million.
And what do you say to that?
Mr. Speaker, I agree with him. A consequential difference will have to be reflected in capital expenditure. Under domestic finance capital expenditure, a consequential amendment and the difference will have to be so reflected.
So what is that difference? Can
Mr.
we
Speaker,
get that? Yes, Ranking.
Mr. Speaker, the amount under domestic finance capital expenditure must come down by 80 million Ghana cedis so that they can reflect it, because it's a bit technical. So if you state it, then they know what it is. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But Chairman and Ranking, you should help us so that we can state the figure. It should come down by 80 million. We all agree. So the figure is now what? So we write it down.
Was it 80?
Are we leaving it to the draft people to do? These are figures. Oh, who is the hunter there? What is the figure?
No.
Mr. Speaker, under capital expenditure, page 6, first schedule, you have 10,617,633,611. This has been reduced by 80 million, and so the amount will be 10,537,633,611. 10,537.
No, at all. Mr. Speaker, in order that we would sail safely, we should strike the difference between the original 227, 801, 182, and the amendment, and just reflect the difference, because you do not get exactly 80 because of the other changes that also happen in the appropriation. So all I'm saying is that it should be consequential. We should strike the difference and apply it to the domestic capex. And I'm sure this is something, Mr. Speaker, if respectfully you direct, it can be done by the drafters. So it becomes a consequential amendment.
Mr. Speaker, I disagree. I disagree in the sense that the allocation for special development initiative and the monitoring evaluation unit for capital expenditure, it was for goods and services. The capital expenditure component was reallocated because it was ABFA. And because ABFA, you cannot have unspent amount, we reallocated it. The amount of 4.4 million that is left was for goods and services and not for capital expenditure. So you cannot reduce the capital expenditure by that amount. It is only the 80 million that will represent capital expenditure. So we should take note.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with him. I've just done the computation. It's exactly 80 million. And so we can reduce the domestic capex, to less 80 million. Mr. Speaker, the figure there less 80 million. That should be sufficient.
Well, the ranking member has given us the figure 10 billion 537 million 633.611. That's the figure given by the ranking member. Honorable members, this is very necessary because usually after this, the draft person has got to compile the decisions taken by the House. And we must be certain as to what decision that the House has taken. The draft person is not allowed to take decisions for the House. And they take time to compile it before it comes to me for my signature, before it's sent to the President. And we must be certain what we are doing. That's why I'm insisting we get the figures right. Anyway, so I put the question on the first schedule. Those in favor, those in favor that as amended stands part of the bill, say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. I put the question on the first schedule now. And the question is that the first schedule as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honorable members, the first schedule as amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. Second schedule.
Retained internally generated funds breakdown.
Mr. Speaker, we have no amendments to that.
Any proposed amendment? No. I put the question. The question is that the second schedule stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the second schedule is ordered to stand part of the bill. We have a third schedule.
Summary of expenditure by ministries, departments and agencies, economic item and funding.
Yes, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a number of amendments to make to this third schedule. First, on the third row under the headings, That is 026, Ministry of Communications and Digitization. The Speaker, because this bill was originally prepared on the understanding that the 80 million was being allocated to the Ministry of Communication, it was so reflected. But when we met and considered that this has not been properly appropriated, we thought it should be taken under the fourth column, namely GOG CAPEX. No, fourth. You forgot that is a fourth column under CAPEX. The figure has to be 985,760 Ghana cedis.
Honorable Chairman, I don't get the figure. That's page 9?
Yes, page 10.
Page 10.
Page 10. Third row, under the headings, the third row, 026, Ministry of Communications and Digitization.
Yes, please.
The figure should be amended from what is there to 985,760 Ghana cedis.
Yes, noted. Honorable members, this is part of the consequential amendment. So I put the question. Those in favor of the proposed amendment say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I put the question, and the question is that the third schedule stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The third schedule is ordered to stand part of the bill. The fourth schedule.
Summary of expenditure by program, economic item and funding.
Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, respectfully, we are not done with the third schedule. We have quite a number on the third schedule. In fact, on the same third row, Mr. Speaker, if you give me permission, I'll proceed to do the further amendments.
Yes, go on with all the amendments.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will take all of them, and then, so on the third, consequentially, the grand total, which currently stands at 867,742,207 Ghana cedis, should now be 742,207 Ghana cedis. It's consequential. And then, Mr. Speaker, on the same page, for the same third schedule, the same page 10, the last row, number 067, under General Government Services, under compensation of employees, the figure 705,993,370 was amended upwards because we moved money from contingency into compensation under General Government Services. So the new figure for that has to be 1,239,239. I'll take that again. 1,239,831,210 Ghana cedis. And then, consequentially, it reflects under the total under GOG, which is the fifth column, the last row, the figure there, instead of 4,755,285,246 Ghana cedis, it should read 5,289,123,086 Ghana cedis. Consequentially, the grand total, the same last row, which reads 8,601,178,965 should now read 9,135,016,805 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, I'm not done yet with the third schedule. On page 11, under the second row, under the headings, code 074, contingent and a compensation of employees. Mr. Speaker, it would be helpful if the ranking member pays attention. The code 074 and a contingency, on contingency and a compensation of employees, the figure 533,237,840 should go to zero. And then the figure on the fifth column under the total on GOG should read 533,837,840, which consequentially, and the grand total moves the figure there to 533,837,840 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, I think I'm done. I'm done on the third schedule. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, ranking member.
Which page? Okay. Mr. Speaker, I think the amendment reflects the position of the committee. They are all in line with where we cut and where we should properly realign it. The only thing he left relate to page 11 under total organization. The total amount should also consequentially reflect all the amendments that he has done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, I have put the question on the third schedule again. And the question is that the third schedule as amended stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Sorry, honorable members. Yes, Honorable Abrapwa.
Yeah, I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I watching to the third schedule, the figure for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is not aligned with the budget. I just noticed the last figure. Here we have 2,153,234,368, but in the budget is 2,153,234,369. So, yeah, it should be 9 and not 8, the last digit. So if we could pay attention to that, the third schedule.
Yes, ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in preparing the appropriations, we used the estimates that were approved at the House. So, as part of the work, the Ministry of Finance submitted all the approvals that the House has given, and we used the approvals. We noticed that some of the line items are different from what is in the budget, but they are not very significant, very immaterial. And since it tallies with the total appropriations, we adopted them the same. Thank you.
Yes, so honorable members, I put the question again. Those of the third schedule as variously amended, standing part of the bill, say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The third schedule as variously amended is ordered to stand part of the bill. The fourth schedule
Mr. Speaker, we have no amendments on the fourth schedule.
Members, I put the question, and the question is that the fourth schedule stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The fourth schedule is ordered to stand part of the bill. We can now move on to the long title.
An act to provide for the withdrawal of sums of money necessary to meet government expenditure for the 2023 financial year from the Consolidated Fund and other public funds and for related matters.
Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, we have no amendments to the long title. Okay, so we're done.
Honorable members, the question is that the long title stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The long title is ordered to stand part of the bill. Honorable members, I think we've come to the end of the consideration stage of the bill. We will now have to move to item 96. Item 96 at page 38 of the order paper. Motion, Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the motion for the third reading appropriation bill 2022, listed as item number 96 on page 38 on today's order paper, be moved. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder?
I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. It's a consequential motion, so I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. And we move on to item 97. Motion, Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the appropriation bill 2022 be now read the third time. I so move.
Any seconder?
I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. Honorable members, I put the question. As many as are in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried.
An act to provide for the withdrawal of sums of money necessary to meet government expenditure for the 2023 financial year from the Consolidated Fund and other public funds and for related matters.
Honorable members, the appropriation bill 2023 22 is duly read the third time and passed. Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, with respect, we're going on to page 29. Page 29, and take item 60, 60, with respect.
You said item
60 on page 29.
60.
60, certainly. Page 29.
Honorable members.
Minister,
Page 29. Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
I rise to move.
Yes, please, just a minute. Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, some of us came to this house since yesterday. By 7 a.m., I was in this house. Up to this morning, getting to 4 a.m., we have passed the appropriation bill into an act. The minister now can start spending from January. Why do you want to stretch us to the point that we can collapse at any time? Mr. Speaker, it is not good for our health. We can hold on with this one and then take it when we come back. Mr. Speaker, it's not fair. We are human beings. We have passed appropriation. Why do you want to stretch us to that point? Please. Let's suspend this and again. Please.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the appropriations bill that we just passed has items, grants to other government units, the transfers that will make to the statutory funds. Currently, the current law that we have does not support the appropriations bill that we have just approved. Until you pass the capping and realignment bill, the appropriation that we have has no leg to stand on. Because it is the weight that we have here is what is supporting that. So, Mr. Speaker, I plead that since there's no amendment, we can spend some 10 minutes and clear it and then have the appropriations done. Then we can leave it. Thank you.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader. Any more issue? Yes, Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that a motion listed as item 60 on page 29 of today's order paper be so moved. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Item 61. Motion. Minister for Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the earmarked funds capping and realignment amendment 2022 be now read a second time.
Seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion and in the process submit your committee's report. Mr. Speaker, I request the Hansa Department to capture the full content whilst I give the conclusions. The object of the Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Amendment Bill 2022 is to revise the percentage cap on earmarked funds from 25% of total tax revenue to 17.5% of total tax revenue to make available public funds as budget support. Mr. Speaker, when we get to the consideration stage, there's one small, tiny little amendment that we will make, but in conclusion, your committee reviewed the bill and considers that this House should approve it in order that it would inform the appropriation for 2023. Submitted, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, motion moved and seconded is for the consideration. In second reading. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a straightforward bill. Initially, we used to have 25% of total revenue. The proposal is to reduce it to 17.5% of total revenue and to make money available to reduce the fiscal deficit. Mr. Speaker, this is particularly important because our fiscal deficit has been in double digits for 4 years in a row. And so it is important that the government will take action to reduce expenditure. Mr. Speaker, clearly, if you are to look at the budget and the approvals that we have made, it reflects exactly what we are, the proposal before us. All the statutory funds are seeing an amount, the allocations going to statutory funds are coming down. And this reflects exactly what we are seeking to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honourable members. Well, there will be no further consideration. I put the question. The question is that those in favor of aye, those against say no. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The earmarked funds capping and realignment Amendment Bill 2022 is accordingly read a second time.
And acts to revise the cap for earmarked funds and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, item 62.
Yes.
Motion, Minister for Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the motion listed as item 62 on page 29 on today's order paper be so moved. I so move.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved, seconded for the consideration of the House. I put the question. As many as are in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We move now on to item 63. And that is the Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Amendment Bill 2022 at the consideration stage. Honourable members, clause 1.
Section 2 of Act 947 amended.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the committee has no amendment, save some amendment we want to make to the schedule. Otherwise,
Okay.
there's no other amendment.
Clause 2.
Section 3 of Act 947 amended.
Clause 3.
Section 8 of Act 947 amended.
Honorable members, I put the question. Minority Leader, yes.
Mr. Speaker, Clause 3. We demand an explanation from the chairman. It reads, amend Section 8 of Act 947 to provide a new definition for capped earmark funds. If you are providing the new definition, provide it and we'll hear. Because, for instance, this is Assembly Common Fund. We want to see that a percentage of total revenue consistent with Article 2522 of the Constitution is respected. Now, even for Get Fund, with your duchies and others, you must lower more resources for them to pay people working in that endeavor. So, if you want a new definition of capped earmark funds, define it for the record. We will not allow the Minister of Finance to just walk away and make a determination what he considers as a new definition of capped earmark funds. We want certainty. Then, Mr. Speaker, if you come generally to the explanatory memorandum to this bill, in particular paragraph 4, when you have the figure increase from 12.2 billion to about 23.7 billion Ghana cedis. So it means from 25%, instead of even 17.5%, you can do 15%. Why do you want to do 17.5%? Because cumulatively, the kitty is expanded. And you are constraining those earmark funds from performing the statutory obligations entrusted to them. So, Chairman, we need you to define for the record capped earmark funds. Which are the capped earmark funds? Define it for us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We got to clause 3. And what I have here says the principal enactment is amended in section 8 by the substitution for the definition of capped earmark funds of. And then capped earmark funds is defined means the total amount of all the earmark funds remaining after a cap of 17.5% of total revenue has been applied to the aggregate of all the earmarked funds. Now you are asking for
I just need an assurance that the District Assembly Common Fund is not part of it. And I want to hear it from the Minister for the record. Thank you.
Yes, Minister, they want to hear from you concerning the district. The common fund, actually, the common fund, is it part of the earmarked funds? Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker.
Well, Chairman, you are now the authority.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, sorry, Mr. Speaker, I was rising to draw your attention to the fact that I indicated earlier that we had an amendment.
Yes, I know that is at the schedule, but we haven't reached the schedule yet. They just asked for an assurance that the common fund is not part of the earmarked funds, and they wanted the minister to respond to that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me assure the honourable member that DSCF is not part. The DSCF is not part of the cabinet.
Yes.
And we continue to follow the Supreme Court. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, we are told that the DSCF is not part of the earmarked funds. That's the assurance being given by the Minister for Finance. So I put the question on the clauses. The question is that clauses 1, 2, and 3 stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1, 2, and 3 are ordered to stand part of the bill. Honourable members, I'm told there's I don't have it. Is it an insertion?
You can do it.
Honourable members, because this is an informal stage of the bill, that is consideration stage, we can allow such things. If not truly, that former bill or act, actually not a bill, it's an act, it's not before us. This is a bill that is before us. So if you say insertion, now you are trying to insert something into the bill that is before us. But that act is not before us now. We are just seeking to amend that act. And so there should be some indication in this bill that you intend to insert something in the existing act.
We are in your hands.
But it's an informal stage, so to do that. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Scheduled to Act 947 amended. The principal enactment is amended in the schedule by the insertion of after the 13th row of the following additional rows. 14, Mineral Income Investment Fund. 15, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, there's a proposed amendment to insert in the Principal Act, Act 947, the following as row 14 and 15, Mineral Income Investment Fund and Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. Those in favor of the insertion, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is carried. I put the question, and the question is that the insertion as captured stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The insertion as captured is ordered to stand part of the bill. Honourable members, we go to the long title.
An act to cap for earmarked funds and to provide for related matters.
There be no proposed amendment.
No amendment.
You have? No?
No amendment.
Honourable members, the question is that the long title stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the long title is ordered to stand part of the bill. Honourable members, this is to the end of the consideration stage of the bill. And so we move now to item 64. Item 64 on the order paper. Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion listed as item 64 on page 30 in today's order paper be moved.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Procedural motion, I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We move to item 65 on the order paper. Motion, Minister for Finance.
I rise to move that the Earmarked Funds Capping and Realignment Amendment Bill 2022 be now read the third time.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded. Honourable members, I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The earmarked funds, capping and realignment amendment bill 2022 is duly read the third time and passed.
An act to revise the cap for earmarked funds and to provide for related matters.
Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, page 10, item 25. Page 10, item 25.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Item, is it 25 or 26? Which item?
Item 25.
Item 25. Motion, Chairman of the Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that the motion listed as item 25 on the order paper of 21st December 2022 be moved now, and in the process I would submit your committee's report. Mr. Speaker, the motion is in respect of an agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana and KLW Germany for an amount of 30 million euros to finance government Go Solar project. Mr. Speaker, I request the Hansa Department to capture the entire content whilst I take the highlights. The terms of the loan are listed in conclusion, we recommend to the House to adopt this report and approve it. I so move.
Any seconder? Yes.
Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion to indicate that because of the nature of the terms, even though we are reluctant to approve new loans, this is a loan with about 53% concession with less than 1%, 0.75% interest. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion.
Honorable members, motion moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Resolution. Item 26, resolution to page 10 and 11. Minister for Finance.
Speaker, may I seek your leave for item 26 to be taken by the Deputy Minister instead of the Minister? Sorry. With your leave.
Deputy Minister. Yes,
Deputies of Finance.
Granted.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the resolution captured as item 26 on page 10 of today's order paper be adopted now. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman.
Honorable members, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
For the adoption of the resolution moved and seconded. It's a consequential resolution, so I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is accordingly adopted.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
I rise to move. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the motion listed as item 23 on today's order paper be taken out in the process. In the order paper of 21st December 2022, be moved today. And in the process, I present your committee. Mr. Speaker, it's in respect of a loan facility agreement between the government of Ghana and KfW for an amount of 116,600,000 euros to finance a 330 kV Accra Kumasi transmission line. Mr. Speaker, the Hansa Department, I request to capture the entire report whilst I conclude. The committee recommends the facility to this House for approval. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Honorable members, I haven't even gotten the number. And I haven't granted you the permission to move any motion. And you are just moving and seconding without any permission from me. It's item number 2-3. Yes, Chairman, you may now move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that the motion listed as item 23 on the order paper of 21st December 2022 be moved, and in the process submit your committee's report, which I request the Hansa Department to capture in full whilst I take the conclusion. In conclusion, the committee recommends this to the House for approval. I so move.
Any seconder? Yes, any seconder?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. I put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. We go to the consequential resolution, item 24, Minister for Finance. Yes, Deputy Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the resolution captured as item 24, item 24 on page 9 of the 21st December 2022 order paper be adopted now. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second.
Motion for the adoption of the resolution moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. I put the question. Those in favor of the adoption of the resolution say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the resolution is adopted. We are not going anywhere. We are not doing it. Honorable members. Yeah, Majority Chief Whip. Yes, leadership.
It's not leadership. Mr. Speaker, at this point, if we have closing remarks we make, other than that, we adjourn the House. So,
Honorable members.
I want to thank you and thank the
Honorable members.
Yes.
I think it's time for us to call it a day, and I will invite leaders, if they have some remarks to make, they do so, and then I can thank you, and we take it from there. Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes.
you called me. Mr. Speaker, you called me. Mr. Speaker, you called me. You called me. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, you called me.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to present.
Mr. Speaker, he made an application aside.
What is it?
Honorable members. Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker.
When Honorable
Mr. Speaker, we are all on the same page.
Just a minute.
I just want to make a comment.
Just a minute. Please, when you put your mics on, you disable me because mine cannot come on. So I'll have to sit and watch you. I can't do anything. Well, when you have two mics on, the third one cannot be put on. And so when you see me seated quietly and listening to you, it's because you have disabled me. So now, Deputy Majority Leader, yes.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. In good faith, we are ready to put all other matters on ice. We were of the understanding that the outstanding matter of the two Supreme Court judges under item motion 18 would be taken. But Mr. Speaker, under the circumstance, Mr. Speaker, under the circumstance, Mr. Speaker, they must, Mr. Speaker, they must listen and have patience and tolerate. I'm not saying that we are going to consider it. I am saying that we had the understanding that this will happen. But Mr. Speaker, looking at the time, Mr. Speaker, looking at the time, it is only fair. Mr. Speaker, may my colleagues, the backbenchers, listen to me. Mr. Speaker, what they are doing is what you described in your days as a majority leader as reckless heckling. What they are doing is what you described when you were majority leader as reckless heckling. You don't do that. I am talking for you. I know you are tired. So, Mr. Speaker, we had a certain understanding that we would deal with item 18, but we also acknowledge that time is fast spent. We are all tired. On the basis of that, government business on this item will not proceed. Mr. Speaker, that is all that I want to say. And thank colleagues for their cooperation.
Honorable members, can we hear from our leaders? Closing remarks.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I should express gratitude to you personally for the leadership you have provided and your determination to help us build a strong, accountable parliament. Mr. Speaker, Hansard will capture my speech. I should thank the clerk, thank members of the media, your two deputies who have been very supportive, my colleague, the majority leader, and colleague members of parliament. We wish you all well. But know that you won't come and meet the Ghana you deserve in January. This is a Ghana which is still struggling with devalued currency, a Ghana struggling with debt and debt exchange, a Ghana struggling to protect pensions, and a Ghana struggling to prevent its budget. And Mr. Speaker, we should work with each other in good faith. How I wish a few hours ago we reminded you that you could not have proceeded even to take decisions with your 137. But in the interest of 136, we did. We are trying to abuse. So, Mr. Speaker, I wish you travel mercies together with our colleagues back to our constituencies. And to all our colleagues, I see the majority leader is not strong enough. So he's using his hawk there to do the work for him. So travel mercies. Then to my colleagues in the minority leadership, God bless us all, and we travel home safely. Answer will capture my speech. Thank you.
Majority leadership.
Mr. Speaker, yes. Mr. Speaker, with your leave, I may proceed to the
Yes.
to do so on behalf of the majority.
Please go ahead.
I don't know, sir. Mr. Speaker, all too soon, we've come to an end of our third meeting of the second session of the Fourth Republic of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I am presenting the remarks of the Majority Leader and Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, and would want, with your indulgence, table the full speech. It's a 14-page. Yes, that is for the Majority Leader speech, closing remarks. Mr. Speaker, it's a 15-page speech. I tender it, and I pray that Hansard captures the entire closing remarks as though same was read by me viva voce in extenso. Mr. Speaker, let me thank colleagues for their cooperation. It wasn't all easy at all times, but we managed to demonstrate to Ghanaians that although we disagree, we can cooperate. Mr. Speaker, that is the beauty of the democracy we are enjoying today. Mr. Speaker, in few days, Christians will be commemorating the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. And it is important for us to take advantage of the opportunity the season offers us to reconcile with one another and our Maker. We are in difficult times, and it is important that all believers join to pray to God for greater endowment of knowledge and wisdom in the governance of this country. Mr. Speaker, many of us will be driving to our constituencies for the festive season. It is important that we guard against road accidents. Let us endeavor to wear our seatbelts at all times and obey all road signs and traffic signals to ensure an accident-free Christmas. Mr. Speaker, to conclude, I urge all to make some time off their busy schedule to rest and get closer to their families and get energized and well composed for the business of the House in the first meeting of the third session of the 8th Parliament of the Fourth Republic, which in all probability will be commencing on Tuesday, 24th of January 2023. Mr. Speaker, these remarks cannot end without a special thank you to the Minority Leader, Honorable Harry Nantwisu, his deputy, his chief whip, and the deputy whips, the various ranking members, and all members of the minority bench. We've enjoyed your debate, and we say God bless you. But be reminded, Mr. Speaker, of what St. Francis of Assisi said, and this is what the Majority Leader wants you to reflect and ponder on. That as political leaders, Mr. Speaker, may God make us an instrument of His peace. Where there is hatred, let us sow love. Where there is discord, union. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is darkness, through us let there be light. And may we pray as we commit ourselves into the hands of God. May we not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love our fellow citizens, and be reminded that it is in giving that we receive, and also know that in this game of politics, many people will offend us. So we should learn to pardon, as is by pardoning that we are also pardoned. Mr. Speaker, with these veritable words of St. Francis of Assisi, I want to wish my colleagues a Merry Christmas on behalf of the Majority Leader. Thank you so much, sir.
Honorable members, I respectfully call on the officials of the official reporting, where we refer to as the Hansard Office, to capture my closing remarks. What I can simply say is that all is well that ends well. And I say Aiko to all of you, and may you enjoy the Yuletide. With this, the House, please, the House is adjourning sine die. There is no date fixed for our return. Please, this is the third time I'm reminding the majority that you have no authority to decide when we return to the House. When the House adjourns sine die, you don't have. Please, this is the third time. I will not repeat this again. The House is to adjourn sine die. I signed the instrument to recall the House, or a number of you, 15%, can request the House to be recalled. It's not for any leader to decide when the House should resume. Please. The House is accordingly adjourned.